Welcome to JAXConf, and you've joined me for yet another chat, and this time it's with Ken Walker, who is, I believe, the project lead for Orion.
Yes, I'm the project lead. I'm a co-lead the Eclipse Foundation and project lead inside IBM.
Okay, excellent. So Eclipse Orion, not all people may not be aware of what that is. Can you explain what Eclipse Orion is?
Sure. The Orion project, as it is called at the Eclipse Foundation, is a project aimed at providing development tools for the web in the web. So it's components and pieces that can, as a whole, make up a complete development environment that just needs a browser.
Cool. I mean, it's got the Eclipse. It's Eclipse, obviously.
Right.
But it's not Eclipse. It's not Eclipse as we know it.
That's
so
right.
Can you explain the differences between?
Sure. So when people think of Eclipse, they think of desktop IDE or RCP application development platform, and that's primarily Java and other languages. But what Orion is really JavaScript development in a browser. We leverage a back end, so we have a Java server at the back end, which uses a lot of Eclipse components. So it's a good thing we're at Eclipse. But we also have a node-based server that's written purely in JavaScript. So it's really a bit of a difference from standard Eclipse, because what we're trying to produce is not a desktop IDE. We're trying to produce a cloud-based IDE.
So for enterprise developers in particular, is a move to the browser inevitable, do you think?
I think it is inevitable. We've already seen quite a leap to other application development things that you do in the cloud, whether that's email or whether that's using GitHub for source code control, whether you're doing analysis on your source code, you're leveraging the things that are there in the cloud. And for development platform, we believe that editing and doing compilation in the cloud is something that's really going to happen. Orion's pretty early in that game, so we're actually primarily focused on non-compilations at the moment, so JavaScript, CSS, HTML5, and other scripted languages. But the target is to start working on the other languages as well.
This is a thing I'll come on to later, but we'll go back to the start. What design goals did you have with the project in mind from the beginning?
So to provide a development platform that satisfies developers, specifically web developers to start off with, and they're a picky lot. They're kind of minimalist in the tool choices that they use. A lot of them are Notepad++ and or VI or maybe Sublime Text 2 if they're pushing it, and really command line tools. So we've got a lot to compete against there in trying to get those developers into the cloud. But what we're also trying to provide is a set of components that people can leverage. So our editor, you can just take our editor as one single minified JavaScript component and embed it in your web page. You don't need to take all of Orion with you. So we're trying to produce these components, our plugin architecture and our microservice framework, those types of shims that we have in place for browser support, the leading edge of HTML5 development. Those are the types of things that we're aiming to provide to the community.
Okay. So what other projects can you leverage in Orion then, in that case?
So what can other projects leverage from us? So they can take the components. So for example, Mozilla and Firefox, they just take the editor itself and they embed it inside Firefox as part of the debug platform, and also for Scratchpad, which is a way of evaluating context within Firefox. HP has recently included a lot of the Orion node server and editable capabilities, the editor and everything inside a ALM solution that they're doing live development right inside the cloud. IBM this week at Innovate, which is a rational conference led in Florida, we just announced a Jazz Hub ALM solution as well, where you can use Orion right in the cloud. People use pieces of Orion just in their web pages to do samples. So
there's lots of different ways you can do it.
To consume Orion, and if you're using Promises A+ in the Java community, we've got an implementation of that, which is beat on every day, because we use Orion to code Orion. We self-host and write Orion, so we're always
eating our own dog food.
That's correct. That's correct. And so we beat on it every day. So all these components that we're building to build Orion, we're using all the time.
So how easy is it to get started?
Oh, it's really easy. We have quite a good wiki, so if you can go to the Eclipse wiki and look for Orion, there's getting started on getting the server. You can download, as fast as you can download the server and double-click on the Orion logo, you can have a multi-user cloud development environment in about maybe a minute. The node server is as easy as npm install Orion, npm start Orion, and now you have Orion running wherever you've got node running, and that can be my Raspberry Pi, which I used in my talk today. That's where I ran my presentation off my Raspberry Pi, running
impressive.
Orion unknown. So.
Not a lot of speakers do that. I just wanted to clarify that.
That's right.
So Orion's been around for about 2 years now, I believe.
That's correct.
What's the initial reception been like? I mean, you work on a quite quick release cycle, as far as I understand it.
Yeah. So our initial. So yes, this was January of 2011 was the original contribution by IBM, and we just had our 1.0 release in last year in October. We had a 2.0 release in February and a 3.0 release in about 2 weeks. So we release on 4-month cycles, which is different from the standard Eclipse format, which is a yearly release. So Kepler's coming up, and so then they'll have another release next year.
Why do you operate differently to the Eclipse release train in that case?
Because the JavaScript community is very fast-paced. So we consume some components from the community, and when those components change in a rapid way, we need to be able to take those components in. And if there's other components like the Firefox or other tools that are consuming us, if they have to wait a year to get some new feature from us, they're not going to wait. They're going to move on to another.
They're definitely not.
There's lots of libraries and lots of components in JavaScript available out there. We're not the only player in the cloud IDE market by any means. We're actually probably the youngest one of the group as well. But we're really forming a community. We've got some great big companies like IBM and SAP and HP and VMware and Mozilla on board. So we think we've got a good trajectory. Lots of work to do, and looking forward to getting lots of community people involved and helping us do that.
Okay. Thanks, Ken, for talking to me.
Thanks.
Enjoy the rest of JAXConf.
Okay. Thanks very much.